It's the weekend and you have financial questions that need answering. That can only mean one thing. It's time for Jill on Money, the show that takes the mystery out of your finances. Here's your host, Jill Schlesinger.
Welcome, welcome. It's the Jill on Money Show, the program that takes the mystery out of your financial life. The way we do that is we have you ask us questions. Right now, let's talk to Amy from Los Angeles.
I am at a juncture in my career and life that I'm trying to figure out when I can pivot and stop saving so much and start kind of moving towards retirement and dropping down to more of a part-time work position. I know I'm going to work until 65 for health insurance, but I don't want to work as much as I'm working now.
Okay, fair enough. And so, Amy, how old are you today?
I am 55.
So we're going to work for 10 more years. You feel good about that? That's fine?
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to do less, but I know I need health insurance. So,
all right. Well, you can buy that. There's a thing called the exchange. You could probably get it. But let's see what's going on. Are you married, single, partnered? What's going on for you?
Single, no kids.
Oh, makes the planning a lot easier. Anyone else that you need to take care of? Parents, siblings, anyone like that's out there?
No, I'm very fortunate that everyone is well taken care of.
Are they so well taken care of that I can count on an inheritance for you?
Yes, I don't factor that in, but it is there and it will be there. So,
okay. All right. Well, let's not factor it in, except that unless we come up short, and then we will factor it in.
Right.
Amy, how much do you earn right now in your fast-paced, overwhelming job?
It is variable because I have a variable income, but baseline, I would say about 160 to 170.
Are you putting money into a retirement account?
Yes.
How much?
I max it out.
Max out, including your over 55, your over 50 contribution?
Yes.
Okay. Wow, that's a lot. Mm-hmm. So $30,500 this year into retirement. Is it pre-tax or are you putting into a Roth?
So it's Roth. It's kind of switched at my job. It was pre-tax before, but in the last couple of years, it's been post-tax. But I'm still able, like last year, I maxed out plus my own retirement. So I think I can get up to about 30,000. It's called a Roth employee deferral, and then we also have a Roth after tax.
That's great. So give me a rundown of the totals in these accounts right now.
I have a 403B value plan that's at 376.
Yep.
And then the Roth, the 401k is 380.
And what about
One more. Yeah. I have an old 401a that's at 10,705.
10,705. Mm-hmm. I mean, just because you said 403b, 401a, will you be entitled to a pension?
No, unfortunately not. No.
Boo-hoo. Okay. What about a brokerage account? Do you have any money socked away there?
I do.
What do you got?
37,758.
37,7. I'm going to say 750. Okay. How about cash? Money in the bank, safe stuff.
I would say 32,000 in a high yield. Mm-hmm. 17,000 in CDs, so short-term CDs.
Yep.
And then 181 in a Roth.
Okay. And now you're saving a lot of money. This is great. This is wonderful. Do you own a home or do you rent?
I own.
Tell me about the house. How much is it worth?
It's worth $568.
Let's call it $560, just in case. How about a mortgage? Do you have one?
I do, and I owe $235 left on it.
Okay, and what's the interest rate, Amy?
3.4.
Okay, good. And do you like it? You want to stick around there?
No, I'm planning to not retire I'm planning to retire out of state. So no, I'm planning to take the equity that I build in this home and be able to buy something, hopefully outright.
Okay, that's great. So you've got this variable income, you save like a mad woman. How much do you actually spend?
I would say on average, I have like my baseline. I kind of budget myself. Baseline is 4,000, and then a variable is about 1,000, and then I really try and put upwards of 1,000 into like the savings or wherever. But non-negotiable that I have to spend is probably $4,000.
I'm saying 5,000. Can you give yourself a break? You can't really help yourself, can you? You're a little nutty. I mean, geez. Well, it has to be that. No, I'm putting in 5,000 a month. Stop. Don't be ridiculous. Okay. So I like the idea. I'll take the equity. I'll buy something else or not, whatever. You'll move somewhere else. Do you think you'll be in a cheaper state than California?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So if I could get you to retire before 65, would you allow yourself, if we can like make the numbers work, would you actually want to do that?
Yes. Yes.
Yes, God, please. Okay. The reason I asked that, I mean, 5,000 isn't not a lot. So if you just, your Social Security full retirement age is 67. Do you happen to know what your benefit would be at age 67?
Yeah, I think at this point with what I'm making now, it gave it at about 33 to 3,400. I didn't write it down, but I know it was over, it was 1,100. It was about 33 to 34.
Okay. And then at age 70, do you have longevity? Are you a healthy person? Might that be something that you could wait for?
I could. Yeah, I could.
So we think that would probably be up towards like 3,800, 39.
Yes, from what I remember. I'm sorry,
Okay.
I don't have the
That's
number.
okay. So that's great. So let's kind of walk through this. Let's pretend that you allow yourself to retire at, I don't know, let's call it age 63. Okay. So we have to, so a couple of things. One is maybe if you did it at 63 and a half, you'd be like, oh, I'm going to take COBRA. I mean, you have health insurance through work. You could say like 18 months of COBRA. Might be expensive, but so what? Like, let's just say that for those 18 months, you burn the money up. You say, too bad. You're just going to like use it and spend some money. 63 and a half to 65 that you know, instead of 5,000 a month, it'll be 6,000 a month. All right.
Okay.
So we're just going to spend that money for those 18 months. Okay. Then at 65 for your $5,000 a month, from 65 to 70, you are going to pull money out of your pre-tax accounts.
Okay.
And again, I'm presuming you've left California and you're in some fabulous low tax place. Like you've like, oh, I moved to New Hampshire. I moved to Washington State. Okay. So you have lower cost of pulling that money out. And you're going to live on the money that comes out of your 403B and your 401A, which at that time, probably, you know, we're talking about 5, 7, 8 years that you will basically have at least $500,000 in there, and you'll use that, and you'll use to live on that, and you'll pull it out little by little. You'll pay the tax that's due. Big deal. You'll be in a lower tax bracket. You'll be in a lower tax state, and then at age 70, your Social Security kicks in, and then you can use your Roth and your brokerage account and whatever cash you have saved up, and you'll now be able to live your life. It's just, it's really easy. Now, if, however, I just want to be clear, if that freaks you out a little bit, I understand, then you can just work till you're 65. Like the longer you work, the better the numbers get, right? Because you're saving so much money. But you're in great shape. You got yourself, and I'm not even factoring in that there could be some inheritance. It's Jill on Money. We'll be right back.
Back to Jill on Money, where Jill Schlesinger helps you take the mystery out of your finances.
You're back. It's Jill on Money. And if you've got a financial question, just go to jillonmoney.com and click the Contact Us button. This is an email from Patrick. Financial advice on retirement for a complicated next couple of years. Good morning, Jill. I love the show. I was hoping you could provide some financial advice. I'm currently deployed and I can't come on the show for security reasons. Woo, Mark. I love that. Okay. You know, we love our military folks, so thank you for listening. You guys are awesome, and gals. Okay, let's see. Current situation is Patrick's 31, married, has a toddler. Wife is a nurse, earns 50 grand working part-time. Got 30 grand in savings, 125 grand in a brokerage account, all stocks, mostly S&P 500 and mostly ETFs. Thrift savings plan has 200 grand. She's got 20 grand in a savings account, about 37 in a traditional IRA, 13 in a Roth, and 92,000 in stocks. Listen to this. They've got a mortgage at 2.25%. Oh my God. They're going to rent this house out in the future. Okay. Here's the current financial plan. We would like to max my thrift savings plan through combat zone entitlements, which enable me to contribute $23,000 to my Roth and $46,000 to my traditional tax-free. Mark, have you ever heard of that? Combat zone entitlements? That's a first. I've never heard of that.
Yeah, I've never heard of it, but good for him.
And thank God. I was just going to say, it should be like $169,000 as far as I'm concerned. Okay. They're going to liquidate his stock portfolio at the end of the year to avoid capital gains, as my taxable income should be below the minimum threshold. Brilliant. With that being said, is there anything else I should be aware of when considering completing our taxes jointly or separately? Oh, interesting. Okay. What I have done, and before I got married, I had my accountant run a dummy return for me, both ways. What I can tell you is it very rarely makes sense to file separately. In your case, it may, though. And if she were to, let's just think about it. If she were to file separately, there's two questions. One is, who claims the toddler for tax purposes? And does that mess with any potential benefits you get for that toddler going forward, like GI Bill? And also like just plain old dollars. So I think you have to just run it both ways. You can have an accountant do that. Here's the next part of this. I plan to exit the military next August and go into an MBA program. I will be earning zero income for the first year of my MBA, but the program should be free, minus lost income, with a housing stipend through the GI Bill. Ideally, during the second year, I'll have a paid internship. It should relieve some pressure on us, and then I hope we're off to the races. Anything you would recommend we do money-wise prior to when I exit the military next August? Well, here's two things to consider. So I don't know if you can really live on your wife's salary, but when you liquidate your stocks, right, what I would do is keep more money in cash than you normally would. And then I might consider for that second year so you're going to be contributing all this money to the retirement account now. You liquidate your stock at the end of this year. You're going to avoid your capital gains. Then next year, I think that maybe in January of 26, we should look at whether you should liquidate some of your wife's brokerage, because she too is going to be in a low bracket, right? So if you filed jointly in 26, right? And all you're doing is having her earn 50, 60 grand, then you're in this category where you could sell everything in her account, pay no taxes, and start over. And what's really nice about that is that you're starting with a new cost basis. But I think besides freeing up money and then avoiding capital gains in both of those accounts, just make sure if she has a choice in terms of retirement contributions, that obviously we want you guys being all Roth all the time. Besides that, this is an amazing game plan. And thank you for teaching us about something we didn't know. Combat zone entitlements. Did you look that up, Mark, while I was talking?
I did not, but they're entitled to everything they get.
Oh, my God. All right. Last question of the day from Lisette, who wants to talk about paying for college. I've been a listener for years, and your podcast has been a great source of information and guidance. It's made my commute bearable since returning to work after the quarantine. So thank you. All caps, Mark. All caps, baby. We're reaching out today to check in to make sure we're doing everything possible to put our family on solid financial footing now and into the future. So, okay. Lisette's 54. She makes 156 grand a year. She's got money in TIAA, CREF, over 300 grand. And then she's got about 650 in a Vanguard IRA and 73 in a Vanguard Roth. So just remember 54. Okay, Mark, that's important. Spouse 61. Oh boy, here we go. New York State pensioner. Awesome. has a bunch of money in retirement, but they got young kids, Mark. They've got a 16-year-old who's got a 529 through New York, 55 grand. They've got a 14-year-old who's got a $45,000 balance. Okay. They got life insurance. They own a home. It's 625 value. Balance of a mortgage is about 300 grand at 3%. Okay. They have prepared their wills and their health care proxies. Okay. Monthly expenses, 14 grand. We anticipate our monthly cost to drop when they retire. They're going to relocate to a place with a lower cost of living. Their pressing concern is college. We're hoping for merit aid in the private public colleges. They have, all right, so we got admission in the fall of 25. There will be a significant cost after looking at the calculators. Their basic question is, should they scale back retirement and put more money in the 529? I mean, their retirement should be fine, right? I mean, let's get college off the table for 1 second. Let's just look at this retirement. She's 54. Is she going to get a pension? Because I see that she's a state employee, but she doesn't talk about she has Social Security. She doesn't talk about her own pension. But I think she gets a pension, man. They don't have a retirement problem. I do think that you can pull back a little bit. You're used to paying some money out of cash flow. You can use some of the money that you've saved, which is fine. I mean, you don't have to go crazy. It doesn't look like you have a ton of non-retirement assets. So really that's, they have like 12 grand in a money market and 30 grand is a cash value of a whole life policy. So it doesn't look like they have a ton of non-retirement assets. But that said, what I would be clear about is if you reduce that, that's fine. I don't know if you can pay for a full-blown private university education, right? You're paying 14 grand per kid right now for Catholic school. I just don't know if they're going to be able to do private. What do you think, Mark?
Given their current levels, probably not. The kids, it's not like they're 4 and 5. They're getting close to college age.
Yeah. She says that they think they're going to have 25 to 35 grand a year for kid 1. Maybe 30 or 40. I mean, I think they can do it. I just don't know it's going to be so pleasant. And by the way, the time kid 2 is at the end of kid 2, you can pull money out of your retirement and because then you're going to be 59 and a half. And I presume that when we look at some of the money that is saved, I don't know if your spouse has any, that 301,000, right, that's in his retirement or her retirement. I don't know if that's a spouse, a boy or a girl. We could use some of that right now. You can pull some of that money out and taxable income, or you can do that at the end of the second kid's college. I think they can do it. I'm going to say pull back. Let's go to so she's putting 14% in. I would pull that back. This, I would say, for your 401, stay at 6%, and for your 457, I would literally pull it back to 4% and put that extra 10% into the 529 accounts. If you would like to run a scenario or a big issue by us, Mark and I are both certified financial planners. We'd be delighted to help. Just go to JillOnMoney.com and click the Contact Us button. We'll get back to more of your questions in just a minute. Jill on Money. We'll be right back.
Do I invest here? Should I put my money there? Jill Schlesinger can help you. Back to Jill on Money.
You're back. It's Jill on Money. This is the program that attempts to take the mystery out of your financial life. We do that by making you do a little bit of work. All you need to do is go to the website, JillOnMoney.com, and click the Contact Us button. A form will pop up, you write your email, and we get your note. Now, if you'd like to join us on the air live, happy to have you join us. It's great. We dig a little deeper. Check the box. Mark does everything else. While you are on the website, don't forget to check out all the content that lives there. I just want to point out that I've been writing a lot about retirement issues lately, mostly because there's been some great stuff in the news to peg off of that. So, we did a nice post on what's your retirement number, and I want to give you a big update on the fiduciary standard of care. So you can check those out under the blog section of the website. Okay, let's do an email. This is from Sean, who writes, my wife and I both just turned 55 in the last 2 weeks. And after listening to your show, we have decided now is the time to do some Roth conversions. My wife has a couple of traditional 401ks from previous employers, and we want to start converting these to her existing Roth IRA. This particular account has about $10,000 at Voya that we want to convert and transfer. So the question is, can we transfer/convert directly to her Roth IRA at First Trade, which is where our Roths are, or do we have to convert to a Roth at Voya and then roll over to the Roth IRA at First Trade? Well, Sean, you know what I would do? I would actually ask First Trade for help on this because they may be able to do it directly, but you've got to talk to them. When I have a question about these kinds of issues, I always go to the company where it's receiving the funds, not where I'm going to transfer. I mean, of course, if you had to do that interim step, it's not so terrible, but it would be nice to do it just in one fell swoop. This question is from Sarah, who resides in New York, who asks, my mother is living in New York State and has asked me my opinion about her estate planning. She has a sizable estate, which right now is actually underneath the limit of the federal estate law. But she's worried that if the law does actually go back to where it was before the most recent tax cuts, I guess that was she's talking about the 2017 cuts, that there could be a New York State implication as well as a federal implication. This is actually a very smart question on your mother's behalf. So let's go through this for a second. So the end of 2017, big tax law changes. And part of that was not just about lowering tax brackets and expanding the range of income on which tax brackets are assessed, but it also shifted the estate gift tax rules. And as of 2024, any single individual who has less than $13,610,000 doesn't really have to worry about any estate tax. But the weird thing is, because of this sunset provision, and I think you guys heard this when we had the conversation with Ed Slott recently, because we basically have a retroactive tax law that goes back into effect, there are some estates that could see the exemption basically go in half to something like 5, 6, 7 million. And for some states, that would actually also trigger an estate tax. So what is somebody to do right this minute? I think the first thing that I would suggest is talk to the estate attorney who helped draft your mom's documents. You also may want to consider some gifting. I don't know how old your mom is, if, really healthy or not so healthy, but maybe you're thinking that mom doesn't need all this money anyway, and that you could start gifting, and that would lower the total estate amount and maybe even get under the sunset limits. So I do think it's smart to consider these issues right now. Remember, gang, these tax rates, they're in place for 2024 and then also 2025. But unless there is some sort of action taken, so I imagine it's going to be a very big issue for the Congress in 2025, that without that kind of action, congressional action, we're just going backwards. So it is worth thinking about these issues right now. Okay. Here's our last question. This is from Allegra. We just bought a house for over $1 million in the Washington, D.C. area after getting tired of renting for so long. Our mortgage is at just over 6% with no money down. Wow, no money down. My husband already has a pension of $12,000 a month, and it will have cost of living adjustments. We are both 52, and he makes $200,000 a year. We have about $700,000 in a 401k, $400,000 in Roths. We also have $200,000 in brokerage accounts. I'm looking for a job, but no income at this moment. We have kids that rely on us, but with minimal education costs for their college due to military benefits. Was this a huge mistake buying a house? Seems like a high interest rate. Well, I mean, no, it's not a huge mistake. Are you actually struggling to make your ends meet? Because if you're able to meet your mortgage payments and pay all your bills and you're doing okay, then I think it's fine. I also wonder, what kind of wisdom would it be for me to impart on you to tell you, oh my God, this was a huge mistake? You're in the house. Again, I'm presuming you got a mortgage with $12,000 a month and $200,000 a year. Even if you had to pull back a little bit on putting money into retirement right now, okay, so don't worry too much about it because you're making it work. And I don't think that it's really helpful to go back in time and say, oh my God, was this a big mistake? You are where you are. I'd love to hear more from you about this and talk you through it. But I think that based on having a big pension, also a big chunk of income of $200,000 a year on top of that, I mean, it seems like a okay thing that you did, and we can see what other things you should be maybe moving around or prioritizing while this mortgage is at over 6%. The thing about the no money down, I'm less happy about that. That makes me a little bit nervous. I would have liked you to put some money down from the brokerage account, but again, here's where you are. So you can follow up with us. Happy to talk you through more of your questions. If you would like to join us on the program or send us an email, just go to JillOnMoney.com, click the Contact Us button. We'll do everything else. Remember, while you're there, just bookmark the site. You'll be back. It's Jill on Money. We'll be right back.
.401ks, IRAs, refinancing, she covers it all. Back to Jill on Money with Jill Schlesinger.
You're back. It's Jill on Money, the program that's trying to help you make better financial decisions, maybe less bad. I don't know. Everyone's in a different place. If you need some assistance, if something big's going on in your life, just go to our website, JillOnMoney.com, click the Contact Us button, and we will get your note. Of course, if you'd like to join us live, just check that box, and Mark does everything else because he's the best producer in the world. I think I've said that enough, right? Okay, let's take this email. This is from Chris, and the subject is all Roth all the time. Hi, Jill and Mark. I love both of your podcasts. Parenthetically, gang, we have another podcast called Money Watch. Comes out on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Okay. I listen every day, and I'm a Jill on Money live subscriber. The webinar with Ed Slott was my favorite. Love that Ed Slott. Okay. Here's the message from Chris. I've heard you and Mark both say you're all Roth all the time. I max out a Roth IRA and my Roth 401k every year. Note my max for the 401k is about $17,000 because I'm considered a high earner. You know, in some plans, you do get maxed out below the statutory limit. So we do know that. Okay, so here it goes. Chris says, I'm wondering if I should convert any of the money in my pre-tax 401k to a Roth so I will not be hit with big required minimum distributions down the road. We didn't have a Roth option when I started making the deposits. I know, that's the thing. A lot of people have this old money that's been building. Chris's details: salary, $200,000 plus a bonus of about $30,000 to $40,000. And here's the 401k, $500,000. $375 of which is traditional, $115 which is Roth. There's also a profit sharing, a company retirement plan, and there's $1 million in this, mostly in company stock. And Chris goes on to write, I need to diversify now that I'm old enough, but I haven't done that yet. That's a lot of money in one company, man. I'd be very nervous. I would make that my number one priority. Forget about the Roth. I think you know that, though. Roth IRA has $300,000. There's $300,000 in a savings account, After selling a house last year, I am currently renting, but I keep the money in cash in case I do find a house. $200,000 in a brokerage account, $40,000 in I-bonds. Okay. Chris is 52 and says, I'd like to work until about 60, but it is very common for people at the company I work for to leave with separation packages in their late 50s. I'm not sure I'm going to make it that long. I spend about $120,000 a year. Does it make sense to convert any of my pre-tax money to Roth? I am in a pretty high tax bracket, single, no kids, so not sure whether or not that would make sense. I do have the cash to pay the taxes, but again, not sure it makes sense. So Chris is making $230,000. So Chris is basically in the 32% tax bracket right now. Top bracket, that is. So single up to $243,725. The question do we have to wrestle with is, does Chris start converting now, potentially pushing into another tax bracket, the 35%, or not? I'm not so sure about converting because of the house situation. I think that's the real unknown here, because the savings could be used to convert. No big deal, right? You know that. And you don't have to do it all at once. I mean, you do have $375,000. You could do a little bit at a time over the next bunch of years and maybe even just stay in the 32% tax bracket. But if you really think you're going to need some of that money for a house, I don't know if I want to soak up my liquidity. I think that I would generally say yes to the conversion slowly but surely over time. And of course, you could certainly just pull the money out of the pre-tax if you are, 59 and a half and you're retiring and you just say from, let's say my 60 to 70, I'll start just pulling the money out. But I don't think it's an imperative. I just think that it would be good if you could, unless you really believe you're going to need that money for a house. Okay. This is from Rod, another Roth question. Rod writes, I believe my wife and I will go over the AGI limit for a Roth in 2024. Okay, we've maxed out our 401ks and HSA, so we don't believe there are any other ways to reduce our adjusted gross income. Any advice for us to still contribute to a Roth? Well, frankly, if you don't have any other IRA accounts, I might do a backdoor Roth. I might make a contribution into a non-deductible IRA and then immediately turn that into a Roth. That's called a backdoor Roth. So I think that would be a great idea if possible. If your 401ks are Roth opportunities as well, maybe you consider that. This is from Gina about a tax payment. Hi, Jill and Mark. I mailed my almost $4,000 check to the IRS on April 2nd. As of today, the 13th, it has not been cashed. I don't want to pay interest and penalties from the time I mailed the check. What can I do? Maybe this will help a number of us out in Jill on Moneyland. Thank you. Okay, I cheated on this one because I was wondering, really, what do you do? So I went to the IRS website. And so here's the answer. If it has been at least 2 weeks since you sent the payment to the IRS and the financial institution verifies that the check hasn't cleared your account, you need to call the IRS. I know that sounds nutty, but you call 800-829-1040 and you ask if the payment has been credited to your account. That is the general procedural answer to the question. And obviously, you're not the first one to have that because the IRS actually has that specific question on their website. Good luck, Gina. I hope that helps. If you have a question and you're a little shy to come on the radio show, it's okay. We do emails just like we just did for Chris. So go to JillOnMoney.com, click the Contact Us button. We'll get your note. The Jill on Money Show will be right back. You're back. It's Jill on Money, the program that tries to help you make better financial decisions. If you've got a question, shoot us a note. Just go to JillOnMoney.com, click the Contact Us button, and we'll answer it on the air. Or if you'd like to join us live, where we ask a lot of nosy follow-up questions, check the box. Mark does everything else. Here's a question from Julie, who writes, I'll be 60 in a few months, and my wife will be 47. So we have a 13-year age gap. My thought is to take half of our money and invest it for my age and the other half for her. What asset allocation would you use for each of us? I plan to retire when we have enough money, which is still a great unknown. Oh, well, this seems like kind of a cart before the horse kind of question. Here's why. You're together. I know there is an age difference, but it's not that big. As you said, you haven't really run your retirement numbers yet, and that's the most important thing you can do. We're jumping over to asset allocation before we actually look at retirement. So, Julie, I think the most beneficial way to approach this is to say, here's where we are. Here's when I plan to retire. Here's when she plans to retire. Here's how much money that we spend. Here's what we have in investments. And then you come out of that process with an idea of whether your goals are realistic for retirement. And after that, the next part of it is, how do we put our money to work to achieve what we're setting out to achieve? You know, I know so often we jump over to the investments and the asset allocation and diversification, but the other issues, they're the ones that will drive how you move forward. And I think that's where we have to get you guys to. So I hope that helps. But you know what would be great is if both of you came on the program with us and we'll hold your hands. We'll sort of guide you through the process. I think it's not that bad. We'll make it easy for you. Okay? If you, like Julie, have a question, just go to JillOnMoney.com, click the Contact Us button, and we'll get your note. The Jill on Money Show will be right back.
It's the weekend, and that can only mean one thing. You're listening to Jill on Money, the show that takes the mystery out of your finances. Here's your host, Jill Schlesinger.
You're back. It's Jill on Money. This is a program that is built around you and what you need. Now, you know it's called Jill on Money, so it's a money show, but it's not your run-of-the-mill money show. It's a money show that focuses on your real life. In fact, I have a friend who thinks we should rename the show and call it Jill on Life, not Jill on Money, because it's your life that guides the process. It is your life, your goals, your objectives that will help me and Mark, we're both CFPs, guide you through where you want to go and lay out the options that are available to you. I think that's the most valuable part of thinking these things through. What do I want to do? What are the assets I have or don't have? And how can I get where I want to go? What I have always believed is there are many ways to get you where you want to go. And I want you to have the option to make the choice that's best for you. And you never know when something happens out of the blue. It's good to have that plan in hand. Right now, let's talk to Denise, who's on the line from New Hampshire. Hello, Denise. How are you?
Hello, Jill and Mark. Thanks so much for taking my call.
Of course. How can we help you out today?
Well, I had my own major great money reset.
Tell me more.
I wish my life didn't reflect your book quite so much, but I had a very sudden gray divorce. I was 63 at the time. I'm now almost 64. And it came a bit out of the blue. So we were on track for retirement, and then life completely changed. And, assets cut in half, Social Security picture is different down the road, and the future is just a little unknown. So I'm calling in because I need help just kind of working through some of the big decisions that I will need to make and trying to plan for a future that is still taking shape.
All right. Wow. So I'm glad I didn't talk to you a year ago because it probably would have been like a weepy, freaky, crazy conversation. So just how are you doing now, like a year later?
The first year I would say was survival. And now I'm getting excited about a future that has yet to take shape, but is starting to a little bit. So I'm doing well. Thank you.
Okay, good. I'm glad to hear that. That's a lot. That is a lot.
It is a lot.
Do you guys have kids in common there?
Yes.
How old are they?
Two adults. They're both launched. One is 34 and one is 30.
Okay. And they don't need your help.
They do not, although within this period of divorce, one's about to get married in June and one got married last September. So
you guys didn't derail their plans. They didn't get spooked by, this is maybe not be all that it's cracked up to be. They did it or they're doing it. So that's good.
You would probably have to ask them that question.
Yeah, I'll get them on next. Okay. So Denise, are you working right now or not?
I am. I'm self-employed. I had stepped back from my work because I had done the same thing for my entire adult career. Although I did raise children and I stepped back a little bit for that. And had retired and was exploring different career avenues and what I wanted to do, and frantically restarted my business. So I am employed. Yeah.
How much do you earn in that restarting of the business?
About $50,000 a year.
Okay. And when you look at the 50,000 that you're earning right now, are you telling me that that's a net or a gross 50? Like to you, net 50 grand?
That's net.
Okay.
Yeah.
And is that enough to support you right now or not?
Yeah, I do receive alimony.
How much is that?
And that is 36,000, at least 36,000 a year. My ex-husband's income goes up and down, and so it's a minimum of 3,000 a month. And there's a formula in New Hampshire for what it should be. But anyway,
for how long? How long will you receive that alimony for?
Until his full retirement age, which is 67. So that will be I have another 4 years.
Okay, so 4 more years. Got it. And does he have a pension that you would also get? Did you get some sort of payout in general, or did you have some other obligations that he has to you going forward beyond the alimony?
I do not have, he does not have future obligations. We split all the assets, all the retirement funds. The house is co-owned, and I'm living in the family home, which does not have a mortgage.
What do you pay for in that family home? So you own it jointly. So how much is the house worth?
I would guess around 700,000 right now.
And is the game plan you stay there for as long as you like and just pay for the taxes, et cetera, or is there some split of the ongoing expenses?
The divorce decree actually calls for I can live here for 5 years, and then I either have to buy him out or we sell the house and split the proceeds. Okay.
And is that what you think you'll probably do? Sell it in 4 years, within 4 years?
Yes, I love it. It was built in 1770, and it has a lot of land, and it's a lot of work for just me while working full time. If I wasn't working, I could probably swing it, but
all right.
It's a lot.
Okay. So what is the amount of retirement assets that you have now? Mark, I love that. I keep that paper shuffling. I love that.
1.6 million in pre-tax, and 86,000 in Roth.
Okay.
And then I have 58,000 in an HSA.
What about a brokerage account? Anything in just like a taxable brokerage account?
615,000.
Okay, great. And bank savings, CDs, bonds, anything like that?
Yeah. I've been very cautious since I have 150,000 in just CDs, money market funds, iBond.
Great. Great.
Account.
Listen, you know what? When you go through something like this and a gray divorce, a sudden death, a long-term illness, but anything where you know you're in transition, I'm game for you to have a little extra cash on hand. Absolutely. No, like, I think that that's very smart, even if you didn't necessarily have intention in that. I think if anyone's listening, one of the things I think is incredibly seductive is to take a bunch of money and do something, to act when you've gone through something really sudden and difficult. And I would try to use restraint and not make too many decisions. So I think you're in, like, from what you're telling us, it sounds like you're in a very strong financial situation, which is why I understand how you've moved out of survival into excitement. So here's a couple of questions just in general. So do we have all the assets, any rental property or second homes or anything like that?
Nope. That pretty much covers it.
We'll get back to Denise in just a second. It's the Jill on Money Show. We'll be right back.
Back to Jill on Money, where Jill Schlesinger helps you take the mystery out of your finances.
You're back. It's Jill on Money. Before we went to the break, we were talking to Denise, who's on the line from New Hampshire. For the next 4 years, would you like to stay self-employed, or do you kind of want to cycle out of that again?
I do want to cycle out of it, and I have taken a job, just a little job at a library to put me in contact with other people because I work remotely.
Oh, that's
and
so
living
great.
alone and working remotely is a bit much.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm finding is that interesting things for people my age always seems to happen on Tuesdays at 10 o'clock in the morning. So working has limited me in how I can explore a new life and meet new people. So I would like to retire, or at least work very part-time within the next couple years.
Okay. So when is your full retirement age for Social Security? 67?
67.
Okay.
Yep. And I will be 64 in July.
Okay.
So.
If you look ahead at that retirement, is your benefit more than half of your ex-husband's?
It is. Yep.
Okay. So what would your benefit be at 67?
At 67, it'd be $2,468.
$2,468. And what about at age 70?
$3,140.
I like that one. So I'm just looking ahead. And not being super duper frugal, just being like living your life that you think you'd like to live, just like Denise living her best life. Let's go Oprah on you. What do you think you really would like to have in income total?
See, this is where the housing trips me up,
Okay.
not knowing where I'm going to be living.
Okay.
Because
Yep.
I am innately a frugal person, with the exception of travel and where I live.
Okay. Okay.
So, yeah. So if I knew the answer to that question, I think I would have a better sense of how I should move forward.
Okay. Well, in the house right now, you have a $700,000 house. If we were to burn up some of your cash and buy your husband out, okay, and you handed him $350,000, just pretend we do that. Like, I'm just going to literally like knock down your brokerage account for a second, right? So I say 615 is what you say you have. I'm now going to just say, less $350,000. Okay. And now if you own the house outright, and you know what the expenses are for that house, right?
Yes.
Okay. So now adding in travel, just the travel, like what do you, so what are the monthly expenses? And then we'll pop some travel on top of it. Is it $5,000 a month, $6,000 a month? What do you think?
It's about $6,000 a month.
See, I'm a good guesser. So,
you're very good.
and that also includes travel or not? That's your basic. 6 is your basic.
It does include travel.
It does?
Yeah, it does.
You're not
Yes.
doing you're not so fancy. You're doing good. This is good.
Well, the travel is where I spend the money, and the daily living, not so much.
Okay. But do you think you would actually like to stay in the house? In other words, okay, I'm of two minds of this. All right. I think you can afford to do it, and I don't want you to worry about it at all. But that said, is it weird to be in like, oh, I'm in my marital house? Some people are like, that's weird. I want to start over, clean slate. But if you love the house, you might say, oh, I really like the house even more now that he's gone.
I do love the house. It is a phenomenal amount of work.
Yeah.
There's a lot of land with it. So I can't really see, being 70 years old and living here by myself, which makes me think I would be crazy to buy him out because, that's only 3 years later.
Right. Exactly. Okay.
Yeah.
So now let's get back to the matter at hand. Let's say that you buy him out. Is there what is the next option? You're not going to buy such a big place, but where would you think, what do you think it would cost you to buy something? It's not going to be, I presume it's not going to be, you're going to buy another smaller house on a smaller piece of land for $350,000. Do you have any idea what it would cost you to buy your next place?
I do not, because I don't know where I'm going to live for my next place. My two children live on opposite coasts.
Ooh.
One in New York.
Mm-hmm. We'd love to have you.
And one in the Pacific Northwest. And then my parents are still alive. They're down in the New Jersey area. And so there's just a lot of.
So maybe
I'm not going to live in an inexpensive place.
Right. Or put it this way. Maybe I would put it a different way, which is for $350,000, you could easily say, for a year, 2 years till I figure out what I want, I could rent a place in New Hampshire to be near my friends, whatever it's going to cost. I don't know what that price would be, but how about if we were to presume that the $350 gets spent on either extended travel, because you're going to the Pacific Northwest, New York, and New Jersey, and you actually have a place in New Hampshire. What do you think it would cost to rent just a little place to hang your hat in New Hampshire? Do you have any idea?
I do. The towns I'm interested in would be about $4,000 a month.
Okay. All right. That's not a big deal. Yeah. That's okay. $350,000 of equity goes a long way, So.
Well, my concern, I love the idea of renting. I actually love the idea of renting for 2 years for short-term rentals in a variety of locations and figure out where I'm going to go. My concern was that eating up the money I would have then to buy a house outright when I finally figured out where I wanted to land.
Yeah. But for a year or two, it wouldn't be so bad.
Okay.
It really wouldn't be. I mean, if it's 2 years, we're talking about of the 350, you blow up and you say, okay, now I'm going to say of the $350,000 of equity you have, pretend it's only 250. We're going to spend $100,000 doing something, for 2 years, renting, traveling, doing whatever. So your equity from the house, and maybe it's even just maybe it's only 200,000 of equity in the house that you have, and you'll figure out what you want to do next. But remember, I haven't liquidated the brokerage account yet, right? So at that, what I think is important here is not so much, are you going to buy something? Whether or not you do or you don't, it's fine, but it doesn't have to happen immediately, but you can't be spending $900,000 on your next house. That's what I know. So I would say that I would feel more comfortable if, in looking at your overall asset level, we think that what we need to do is at your age 67, because let's say you do this for a few more years, you are basically working in your self-employed business, you have, and maybe you make your 50, but maybe it's 40. It's okay. You have your alimony that's coming in for 4 more years. and you use this money to support yourself and you let everything else build up. Then what I think you're going to have to do is say, by the time you get to the age that you really want to call it quits for working full time, 67, 66, whatever it is, then we're going to have you pull some money out of that pre-tax retirement account and live on that. And you'll pay the tax that's due, and you will wait to claim Social Security at your age 70. That's what I think. Are you in good health?
I am.
So I think what sort of like big picture, you work for a couple more years. It doesn't have to be 3 exactly. Just work for a couple more years. Okay. Live your life. Take the alimony, live on the alimony, use the money that's in your accounts to kind of help you along the way. But the reality is we want to start pulling money out of that retirement account in like soonish, because that's a lot of money that you're going to have to start taking out when you turn 75.
Right.
If you have something sudden that impacts your life, give us a holler. Go to JillOnMoney.com and click the Contact Us button. We'll be right back.
Do I invest here? Should I put my money there? Jill Schlesinger can help you. Back to Jill on Money.
You're back. It's Jill on Money. If you have a financial question, we are here to help you out. Just go to JillOnMoney.com and click the Contact Us button. Now, while you're on the website, I just have to point out that we've got some new video up on the Compound and Friends, Jill on Money, powered by the Compound. We've got some short videos that we're experimenting with. Let us know what you think. I think they're kind of cool, so check them out. Right now, let's get back and conclude our conversation with Denise, who's on the line from New Hampshire. I think what I would really be clear about is be open with your housing situation. Maybe being in a long-term rental situation makes you feel really happy, unless you stumble upon a place that you really would like to buy. But I wouldn't really work so hard to buy, especially at a time where, you know, the real estate market is kind of out of whack. It's going to take a few years for things to settle in a little bit. And I think that until you have the ability to see the landscape and also understand what you really want, then let's preserve as many options as we possibly can.
Here is my follow-up question. So it's how to invest when I feel so uncertain about the future.
Well, right now, the retirement account should not feel uncertain about that. That's just, have a nice diversified portfolio. How is it invested now?
It's closer to 80-20 than it should be. It's supposed to be about 70-30.
All right. So make the changes. Let's move on with that. Let's do 70-30, make those changes. How's the brokerage account invested?
The brokerage account is roughly the same.
All right. Well, you need to pull back some of the risk on this.
Okay.
You really do. Because especially on the brokerage account, we might need that money. We might need that money to do something. Again, if you sell the house, here's how I could see you needing the money. You sell the house and you're like, okay, I got my $350. We're good. Right. And then you say to me, you turn around and you say, I actually found something great. I just want to buy it. And I want to take $200,000 out of my brokerage account to do it. And I want to buy it. Okay. But so I need you to be able to have a brokerage account that's not going to be so as volatile. I think the brokerage account personally should be, it can be 60-40, 70-30 because you have all this money in bank CDs and money markets and I bonds. But, I do think that it should be less risky than the retirement account.
Should I be putting more in treasuries?
Well, I'll tell you what, just given the fact that I'm talking to you and the bond market has fallen again, I feel very comfortable if you said, I want to put $50,000 in a 10-year treasury. I would be fine with that.
A 10-year? Really?
Yeah, I would. I would just anchor that brokerage account. Sure. And if you said, and it doesn't mean you have to wait till the 10-year matures. It just means that you're socking away money and getting a guaranteed return. If you wanted to say on the CDs, how long dated are they?
A year.
Let's do something smart here. Why don't we take some of the money that is in 1 year CDs, and if you have 150,000, I would start doing like a 2 year, because I don't think you're going to need this money within 2 years. Do you think you're really going to sell the house within 2 years or 1 year? What's the realistic option here?
Realistic would be longer than one, but maybe not the full length of time that I have.
All
so
right,
within the next 2 years, I would say.
So let's do some, all right. So in the reason why I said a 10-year treasury is because it's just gotten killed. And I think that actually you could probably if you had a portion of your account that you want to like make a little bit more secure and less volatile, and you had $50,000 that was in stocks, I would take, and I don't know if you have gains or losses in this account, but presuming you'll pay some capital gains is fine. I would take a portion of my brokerage account and I would try to have it in fixed income. If it's really like 80-20 in that brokerage account, then I would like that to be closer to 70-30. And of the 30 or 60-40 of that, I would be happy to buy a 10-year treasury or a 10-year treasury ETF, something that's going to not act like a stock. Okay. That's what I really wanted to do. In the bank account money, I would then renew anything and do it for another year, or if something comes due, an 18-month horizon where, you could grab the money fast if you needed to, but that you would then have the opportunity to renew it, maybe at a lower level. But if you're going to sell the house, that's going to help you manage a lot of the risk of the overall portfolio, because you'll have this extra money, which you're not going to be able to invest in a very aggressive way anytime soon, because we're not going to know what the outcome is going to be on the housing front, right?
Right.
So we'll have to make a different decision then. I think that we'll really have to decide what happens in a year when you're sort of got your game plan of what happens next. Okay.
So just keep on kind of piling into safe things, which is what I've been doing over the past year.
Yeah. But I mean, look, 80-20 is pretty aggressive for an almost 64-year-old who might need some of her money. Yeah. That's what I would say.
And maybe closer to 70-30, but
I get
your point. I get your point.
Okay. All right. But I think you're in very good shape. I don't really even think, I think if you get really fried from working, that you say, all right, I needed to go back, I needed to restart the business for my own mental and financial security, right? And for getting engaged again. But if it's starting to feel like, ugh, this is not really what I want, don't feel like you have to do it. You have plenty of money. You're going to be fine. You don't spend a lot of money.
I mean, I could retire tomorrow if I decided to. You think?
And there's not a problem here. There's no problem. You can do this. But,
oh man, that's a relief. Okay.
Yeah, but you're not going to, because I can already tell you're not going to. I can easily proffer that advice or that option, because I know you're not going to do it. But give yourself the opportunity to at least consider it.
Yeah, no, I would love to have more flexibility in my life than I do right now.
If something else comes up, if something has happened, honestly, if you're like, oh my God, I was at my son's place in the Pacific Northwest. I found this gorgeous condo for $500,000. I want to do it. Give us a call. Let us know. We are happy to help you out. Okay.
Thank you so much.
If you would like to join us to talk about something going on in your life and maybe think about a different way to manage your money as a result, give us a holler. Go to JillOnMoney.com, click the Contact Us button, and we will get you on the air. We'll be right back.
.401ks, IRAs, refinancing, she covers it all. Back to Jill on Money with Jill Schlesinger.
You're back. It's Jill on Money, the program that attempts to help you make better financial decisions. And we do that by directing you to our website, jillonmoney.com. And at the top right-hand corner of the website, you'll see a little button that says Contact Us. Also on the website, what you will see is a link to Jill on Money Live. That is our subscription service. And for $35 for a full year, you get to join us for 4 live webinars and lots of cool bonus video content. I think you'll really like it. You can check out our most recent webinar with Cal Newport. He's the best-selling author, one of the world's top productivity experts. So you can check that out if you become a member of Jill on Money Live. If you don't want to join, it's okay. Just put it out there. $35 full year. I think it's a pretty good deal. Okay, right now, let's take an email. This is from John. He and his wife are both 60. And he says, I have retired after 31 years of work, and I have $2.5 million in retirement funds of various types. Okay, I retired at the age of 56 in late 2019, and I'm currently working for the county, and my wife works locally. I've been augmenting my income from a homestead fund. It will be done the end of this year. I still have a 401k Roth that I can use to get me to age 62, at which time I plan to totally retire. We've got about $1 million in assets, including home, property, cattle, and equipment. I don't even this is such a different world to me. Anyway, they sell cattle and they make $45,000 a year after expenses. They need $65,000 a year to cover all their expenses. Right now, they make about $125,000. They're vested with Social Security. They started working and paying in their also teens. We also have a special needs child to take care of for the rest of her life. Wow. I don't know if you have enough because I really don't know about that part of it. For you guys, you definitely have enough. But do you have a special needs trust that has been drafted by an attorney who has that kind of expertise? That I would be interested in. It doesn't seem like you have a lot of problems here. You don't, that you need $65,000 from $2.5 million. Seems fine to me. You're on track, John. But I do think that if you have a special needs child, you've got to make sure you've got the proper documentation. This is the longest email in the history of the show from Michael. Hi, Jill and Mark. I love your podcast. I listen to each and every episode, usually while in the car. I find it helpful, calming, and reassuring. I definitely learn something every day. Thank you for all you do for so many listeners via all of your channels. Okay, 2 questions that are related to a mega backdoor Roth 401k feature, which is offered by my employer. 1. I'd love to get your opinion if I should take advantage of a mega backdoor Roth or if I should be doing something different with my extra income, maybe contribute to my personal brokerage account. Okay. Current 401k is $331,000. About 2/3 is traditional and 1/3 is Roth. I now fully max out my 401k, including catch-up contributions. I have a great match, and it results in about $54,000 in my 401k. I don't know why you have to do a regular and a Roth 401k. So he's doing like half and half. So he's 52, he's single, he's got no kids. He has a significant other. They keep their finances separate. So he's got a base salary of $200,000. He makes $30,000 to $40,000 a year in a bonus. I don't know why you're doing a regular 401k and a Roth 401k. So let me start with that. So number one thing I'm going to tell you is forgetting about the mega backdoor, do all Roth. Your Roth 401k is where your money should go and was where your catch-up contribution should go. And it's where your employer contribution and match should go. Not that but if they can. So he has a brokerage account, a small brokerage account that's valued at $8,500. He's only recently begun doing this. He's got a lot of money. He's got honestly, he's 52 years old. He's got no kids. He's got $1.6 million in retirement, blah, 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 breaks it all down. But here's the thing. Okay, so 2 big questions. One is, should you do the mega backdoor? I don't think you need to. I do think you should do all Roth for contributions going forward. That's number 1. Number 2, your overall retirement preparedness, I think you're in a great space right now. You have everything you need to do, you have done. But what I do think you should be doing is taking any extra money and putting money in this brokerage account And, he says he's doing ETFs and a few individual stocks. Treat it very much more like this is my supplemental retirement account. Have a strategy with this. And I think that you'll be, you are absolutely on track. He has a question about consolidating 401ks. I'll tell you what I would do. Whatever you have, he's got 3 different 401ks, 2 former employers. Roll it all into your current plan. Have all your 401k money in one place. If that's possible, if you really want to have more control or your plan is not good, then put it into your traditional IRA or your Roth IRA, wherever that's held. And I presume that you've got an account somewhere where you are able to choose low-cost index or ETF funds. That's where I would do it. But you seem to be in a very good place. But considering that you say you may want to retire early, Michael, definitely think that having some of that brokerage account buildup would be really helpful to you. If you would like to run a scenario or a big issue by us, Mark and I are both certified financial planners. We'd be delighted to help. Just go to JillOnMoney.com and click the Contact Us button. Don't forget to check the box if you want to join us live. Jill on Money. We'll be right back. You're back. It's Jill on Money. And before we conclude the program, we want to make sure that you know all of our content lives on our website at JillOnMoney.com. Everything's there. Check it all out and bookmark that website because you are coming back as much as possible. All right, let's finish up with an email. This is from Eric, who writes, "We are approaching retirement age and realized we have too much of our savings in 401ks and traditional IRA accounts. We're going to be in big trouble when RMDs kick in. We're trying to figure out a strategy to start converting to a Roth while our tax bracket is low in the first few years of retirement. Do you have any suggestions?" Boy, do I ever. This is like a Mark Talercio, Ed Slott kind of question. First of all, I want to make sure that we are clear about the fact that if you've got a ton of money that hasn't yet been taxed now, and certainly this year and next year, before we have any change in tax rates, this is a wonderful time to convert to a Roth. However, I'm also presuming that you understand you've got to have the money outside of retirement accounts in order to pay the tax bill that's due. I'm going to guess that you already know that. What I also want to emphasize, though, is I'm not so sure I'd be afraid of going up a tax bracket. You didn't mention how much your income is, but it could be a nice time for you to say, well, I know I might be in the 12%. Maybe we can go up to the 22% because those RMDs, when they do come along, they are going to push you and they may have you go into a tax bracket that we don't even know what that rate will be right now, but it could be higher. So I encourage you to do this. If you end up with a lot of money in these pre-tax accounts, don't forget, you could also consider potentially using a qualified charitable distribution. Well, okay, that's it. That is the program. Our music is composed by Joel Goodman. Mark Talercio is our executive producer and web king. We ask you to lift someone up, change your work, change your wealth, change your life. Thank you for listening, and we'll talk to you next week.